They were in separate offices. They didn't have a lot of relationship with patrol staff. And so there was a bit of a disconnect there. And because they didn't have law enforcement experience, it made it a little hard for them to relate to crime. I assumed this position in April of 2019, and I'm retired from the Albemarle County Police Department in Charlottesville, Virginia. That was where I served most of my career. And this is my 39th consecutive year in law enforcement as of January of this year. After I retired in 2009, I went to work for the Louisa County Sheriff's Office part-time. And most of what I did there was Marine unit patrol out on Lake Anna. So when this position came open and I met with the sheriff, we both saw a very unique opportunity to bring together someone with law enforcement experience into the TRIAD program. And so I am actually the first sworn TRIAD coordinator that the sheriff's office has had. One of the reasons why it's important, I think, to have someone with law enforcement experience in this position is that I've been able to infuse some programs into TRIAD that had not been there before. One of those things is what I call a senior referral program. If a patrol officer goes out into the community and encounters a senior who's having issues with their health or their safety, if the patrol officer feels like they're in danger in any way, shape, or form, they can come to my office, they can do a referral, and then I can go out and do some follow-up and help with their situation. For instance, if a patrol officer encountered a senior citizen in the middle of the summertime who didn't have air conditioning, there's a way that I can work through social services possibly to get them a donated air conditioner. One of the situations we had, one of our patrol officers actually went out to do a welfare check on a couple just outside of the town of Orange. And the son, who lived out of state, couldn't get in touch with him for several days. He became concerned, and the officer went out and did a welfare check. It turned out that the family had fallen on hard times and they couldn't afford to pay their electric bill or their phone bill. So the patrol officer issued them an emergency cell phone, which is one of our programs I'll talk about in a little bit. And I was able to go out and pay them a visit and then get the Department of Social Services involved and APS involved. And we were able to get some services for them and get them back on their feet. So that's one of the things that I do. And I also follow up on Adult Protective Service abuse cases. Our investigations division is small and they're overwhelmed with a lot of crime investigations, obviously. And so one of the things I can do to help try to take the heat off of them, if Adult Protective Services or our own office should happen to get a report of a senior that they think has been physically abused, I can go out and spend some time and help conduct an investigation, work with Adult Protective Services to try to find a resolution to that. One of those cases came to light back in the late spring. We had a gentleman who lived in the UK contacted us and said that he had received word that his sister, who has dementia and Parkinson's disease, was being abused by her daughter, which was her caretaker up in the Lake of the Woods area. So I responded with an Adult Protective Service worker to take a look into this. And upon arrival at the house, we found the lady on a couch. She was in a diaper and a shirt. She was shaking. It was obvious that she had Parkinson's. We were able to talk to her enough that she was able to tell us that she had been bitten on the arm by her daughter, and there was a big plug of skin that had been taken out of her arm. So we ended up interviewing the daughter and got a confession from her that she had a physical altercation with her mom. She had thrown a glass of milk in her face, and then she grabbed her on the arm and bit a quarter-sized plug of skin out of her arm. Well, that's a felony, in Virginia. So I placed her into custody and made a felony arrest. And then we got services in place for the mother. And now we've kind of got the family back together. The daughter's still one of her primary caretakers, but there's a lot of supervision in the house now to help keep this from happening again. The court disposition has still not been taken care of yet. So that is still an ongoing court case. But TRIAD administers several community programs, and I think I'm going to talk about two of the most important programs from a safety standpoint. First of all, one of them is Project Lifesaver. And Project Lifesaver is a system, and I think we might have talked about this before in the last meeting, but Project Lifesaver is a program that assists people with dementia, Alzheimer's, autism, or any kind of severe brain injury that might impair them to the point where they could wander away from their caregiver or their house and become lost. Oftentimes, searches for people in those types of situations can take hours and a lot of manpower. Project Lifesaver is a small radio transmitter about the size of a watch or a sport tracker that can be placed on a person's arm, or it can be placed on their ankle with a secure bracelet, something similar to a hospital bracelet that they would have to cut off in order to take off. And this emits a radio signal that can be picked up for anywhere between a quarter of a mile and a mile from the source. We use a radio receiver to track that. The Project Lifesaver radio transmitters are between $350 and $375 a piece. The receivers to track those are around $1,100 a piece. When I joined the office, we had one receiver and only 2 patrol officers that were trained to track individuals. And I'll back up for just a second and say that at the current moment, we have 17 active clients that are participants in the Project Lifesaver program. Half of those are senior citizens that suffer from dementia or Alzheimer's and have wandered away in the past and have a diagnosis. The other half are autistic children in our neighborhood. Our youngest one is 5 years old and lives up on the outside of Lake of the Woods. That child's gone missing from the house 2 or 3 times, and luckily we've been able to find him fairly quickly each time. But one of the things that became apparent to me when I took the program over was that we didn't have enough people trained and we didn't have enough equipment. So over the next year, from April 2019 up until December, we worked on beefing up the training and the staffing of people that could operate the equipment, and also fundraising in order to buy the equipment. So Project Lifesaver is a donation-driven program. It's not funded by the sheriff's office. And over the past year and a half, we now have a total of 5 receivers within the sheriff's office. 4 of those receivers are outside in patrol officers' vehicles. 2 of the sergeants have them because one of those is on duty all the time. And then we have 2 other units that have them that are alternating shifts. So the sheriff's office itself has someone that should be able to respond to a Project Lifesaver missing person report immediately. In addition to that, we have 6 fire and rescue officers that are at the main headquarters buildings, one at Mine Run and one there in Orange. They have bought their own receivers and they are trained, and they are currently able to respond 24/7. Again, should we have someone go missing, we can get somebody on scene very quickly. One of the other things that we've added to this program is air support. So we can actually track this signal from the air. I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact that I'm a private pilot. and I have several friends, obviously, that are private pilots. And because of that, we've been able to incorporate a volunteer corps of pilots into this program. We have, on 3 occasions, gone out and practiced locating these beacons from the air, and these individuals obviously are, volunteering their airplanes and their time uh, free of charge to us. So we have been fairly successful with being able to narrow down within about a 3-mile area of where a signal is emanating from. And the significance of that is, if someone wanders from the caregiver and they've really gone on what we call a mission, which is walking away, they can they can cover as much as 2 to 3 miles an hour. So it's it's entirely possible that anytime from the time they've gone missing, that they could be anywhere from 5 to 6 miles out. So if we arrive on the scene with our equipment and we start to try to pick up that signal from the last place that person was seen, and we're not getting that signal, then we know that they may have gone beyond the range that we're capable of tracking on the ground. We can call in air support and we can start trying to locate that signal from the air. And if we can get to within a 2 to 3 mile radius of where it's emanating, then we can dial the ground crews in to find it. Recently, November the 10th, we did a mock exercise that included all of the EMS, fire and rescue people that are trained, all of the sheriff's office people that are trained, and in addition, we have a volunteer group of TRIAD volunteers that about 3/4 of them are trained and to track as well and be support for the ground crews. So we recently did a mock exercise to see how well we could do. And one of those exercises was a ground exercise. The second exercise was locating someone from the air. And we were able to identify some very positive aspects of what we were doing. We were also able to identify some of the negative aspects that we're going to be working on in the next few months. But this program is expensive to maintain. We want to make sure that we have the best equipment possible to put out there. We want to make sure we have enough equipment so that when someone calls and wants to be a part of the program or has a loved one that needs the equipment, we can get it to them. And so far, we've been able to keep up with that demand. But it is a constant effort of reaching out to the community to fundraise in order to do that. Are there any questions about the Project Lifesaver program? Okay, I'm not hearing any. So I'll move on to our Guardian Pendant program. The Guardian Pendant program is a device that's, for lack of a better term, I call it "I've fallen and I can't get up." That's what we're talking about. Um, the Guardian Alert Pendant is a small radio device that we can attach either to a home phone, or we have a new one now that's operated off cell towers. And the Guardian Pendant is, if you have fallen and for some reason you can't get to a device to call for help, the Guardian Pendant you can activate and it will go directly to our 911 center. And that piece of equipment cost us about $300 now. We've got a few at the sheriff's office. I'll be issuing out one of those on Wednesday to a citizen who passed out last week in the Subway store up at Lake of the Woods. The primary place that we see the use for this is people that are either homebound or else they're subject to falling or passing out or having seizures. We can give this device to them and they can, it can summons help if they can't get to a phone. Bathrooms are a common place for this to happen. Transiting in the house from the kitchen to a bedroom or something of that nature, where people aren't carrying their cell phone or they're not able to get to their home phone. And we've got, I think last year we issued out 32 of those. And again, this is a donation-driven program, and we were able to have the need covered. I still have a few of those left. I've got a little bit of donation money left over that I can use to cover the cost of those. But that again is a program that's donation driven, and we feel very strongly about it because we feel it's one of our most popular programs. It's one of the programs we get the most requests for because there are so many people that are out there that feel like that they're compromised at home sometimes, or even when they're traveling. The nice thing about the new Guardian Alert pendant system is because it's mobile cell phone tower based, you could take that anywhere that you have cell service. So if you wanted to travel to visit your family in another state and you were concerned about being a fall risk there, then you could take that with you. And of course, and all you would need to do is be able to make sure that it is connected to a cell phone tower. And you can test it to make sure that it is.
Hey, Ron.
Yes.
I assume you could also award that pendant on a temporary basis. In other words, if someone was going through some rehab and then subsequently had no more need for it, they could turn it back in and you could reapply, reuse that.
Yes, sir, that is correct. And we sometimes when we get those, if we get those units back from a family, because the way we do the programs, both Project Lifesaver and Guardian Pendant, we will tell the people how much the equipment cost. We will ask them for a donation toward the cost of the equipment. And we do sometimes either get a full or a partial donation, but there are a lot of families out there that are under a financial burden that they're, either a retired person who's on a fixed income that can't afford to do that, or a family that just is overwhelmed with, say, an autistic child and don't have the funds to do it. So we do ask for donations from the families that we're giving the equipment to, and sometimes with the Project Lifesaver equipment, that equipment comes back to us. That is never the property of the person. The question becomes is when it comes back to us, is it serviceable? And the same thing with the Guardian Pendant. If the Guardian Pendant is serviceable and we think that we can put it back out in the field and it works fine and it's not a biohazard, so to speak, then we'll reuse it. There's a fair amount of those that come back to the office. The family has brought them back in, either the person's passed away or something, and we're able to refurbish it and use it. But a lot of times we're not. The equipment comes back in, it's somewhat nasty, and even though it might work, it's probably not something you're going to want to give to somebody else. However, with what you're talking about, we do get those requests, and that works out very well. Someone will say, I had a knee surgery and I'm a little concerned about maybe falling in the house. We'll issue the pendant 2 or 3 months after they're rehabbed. We'll get that back. So yes, that does happen.
So I have a question. Is this pendant a bracelet or a pin-on or a clip-on?
So
I asked that thinking. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm thinking that the pendant could be separated from the individual when they fall. So how do you keep the pendant next to the body?
That's a good question. So the pendant can be worn either on a belt clip, like a cell phone. It can be worn around the neck with a pendant, or the new one actually has a feature where you can Velcro it to your wrist, and it's about probably about the size, again, of a sport tracker. It's not that big, probably about 1.5 to 2 inches square. And they're not waterproof, unfortunately. I wish they were. I had a lady call me yesterday because she wears hers in the shower, but she has a life alert, and it cost her a subscription and a lot of money a month to maintain. Our Guardian Pendant has no additional fees to it. So once it's issued to you and you make a donation to the program, it's yours to use as much as you need. There are no additional fees. There's no monthly fees. There's nothing else associated with that. But that's a very valid question. And so we hope that people will, like I say, they'll attach them either to their belt or to their waist, wear it as a pendant, or put it on their wrist.
Good, thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. Any other, is there, it's pretty much the Guardian Pendant program. And those are two of the most important programs. Those are safety-driven programs. We feel it's very important that the community have access to those. In addition to some of the other things that we do, we have, I can do a lot of crime prevention presentations. Interestingly enough, in 2019, from April of 2019 to December, I conducted 23 presentations and reached a total of 1,600 citizens in the county. Unfortunately, in 2020, that number dropped to 12 presentations and 250 people because of because of the COVID, obviously. But a lot of the things that I'm able to get out in the community and talk about that I do presentations on frequently are financial exploitation of seniors. We cover romance scams and things of that nature, Social Security scams, medical and Medicaid scams, construction fraud, internet computer scams, and senior sexual and physical assault and abuse. These are all topics that I'll come out and talk to groups about. A lot of times when I get contacted by a group and they want a presentation, I'll ask them if there's anything specific, or I'll ask them if any of these topics interest them. To give you an idea on the romance scam angle of this, we have had several citizens fall victim. The most common are the romance scam and the internet computer scams. And we're seeing people who are actually very intelligent and very mobile seniors becoming victims of some of these scams. Just recently, I helped investigations work on 3 of the internet computer scams. And those scams were responsible for taking a lot of money from our senior citizens. They were contacted saying that like this one individual was contacted. They said, hey, we're a computer service company. We can service your computer. We can get it back up and running the way it ought to run. And the guy said, yeah, I'd love to have my computer run better now. So he contracted with them for $350 for them to upgrade his computer. About a week later, after they took over his computer and he could see him doing stuff in there, about a week later, they contacted him and said, we're no longer going to be able to serve your area. We need to refund your $350. If you will give us your bank account number, we will refund that money into the bank account. So he gave him the account number, and they quote unquote wired the money back into his bank account. But while they were in the bank account, they found out that he had thousands of dollars in his savings account. They transferred $7,000 from his savings account to his checking account, and then recontacted him and said, we made a mistake. We've refunded you too much money. And when he went and looked in his checking account, of course, he saw this overage of funds. So the company said, we need you to wire that money back to us. So he in turn wired the money back to their account and ended up losing over $7,000. Wasn't until he looked in his savings account that he realized what had happened, and he got suspicious. We're seeing these types of internet computer scams a lot. And the romance scams are definitely on the uptick. But one of the things that TRIAD wants to do is get out into the community and make our citizens aware of the things that are a danger to them in the way of these scams. And I was just recently contacted by a woman who attended one of the seminars, and she said, I attended your seminar, I heard everything you had to say, but yet I still became a victim of this internet computer scam. And she said, and I knew what it was, but I didn't believe it. We have seniors in our community that are actually that unbeknownst to them are being mules for money that are being moved through their accounts and then taken out of their accounts by people in other countries. So they've been contacted saying that there's a money-making thing to be had, and that if they will help them, they'll get a certain percentage. I've run up on 2 of those lately where thousands of dollars within a 30-day period of time have been moved through a senior citizen's account and then wired out to foreigners in another country. They're conducting these scams. It's really kind of scary, and it's important that we get that word out to our community about what's going on. And I'll go over how I'm doing that here in just a few minutes with some other stuff. One of the things that we wanted to do last year and we were on the cusp of doing was mini conferences. What TRIAD and the volunteer group had done, we had created a series of 4 mini conferences that we were going to hold throughout the county. And the premise of this was going to be, we would have we actually had 80 senior citizens signed up for the first event. That event was going to take place in April. And of course, we got shut down by COVID in March. The idea was that we would have a continental breakfast in the morning. People would come in. We would have vendors there that would have services like, for instance, Department of Social Services was going to be there with a table. But we would have senior provider organizations there to talk about the services that they could provide. We would then have 3 guest speakers that would talk on topics that were important to the senior community. We would have a catered lunch, and then we would have a guest speaker like Attorney General Mark Herring or some other person that was prominent in the field of senior care and scams or something of that nature. The idea was to run the conference from 8 in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon. And we had 4 of them lined up, and we thought this would be a great way to be able to go into the 4 corners of the county and make contact with as many people as possible to get the word out about not only TRIAD and its programs, but all of the services that are available to seniors in the community, as well as providing topics to them that may keep them from becoming victims of scams and or frauds or any other victimization of crime or safety. We intend in this coming up year, we are hoping that by late summer or early fall, that we can go back online with this series of conferences. We might have to start with a smaller scale. Obviously, COVID's going to dictate when, how, and where we can do this. But we still have this plan in the pipeline, and it is something that we're committed to do. One of the things I've discovered is that it seems to me like people from the town of Orange out toward the Lake of the Woods area seem to have a good grasp of the programs that are available to them through the county of Orange and also through the sheriff's office. I have found, however, that I think we're weak in the area of toward the Gordonsville, Barbersville area from the town of Orange in that direction. It seems to me like we don't have the connection with the community that we need to have out there. And one of the things that I really want to work on in the next couple of years is strengthening that bond with that part of the county. And one of the ways that we want to do that is through this series of mini conferences where we can have anywhere from 30 to 60 people come in from the community and join us and learn about these topics and our services. Some of the other things that we provide is we do File of Life, which is a little magnetic red card that you can stick to your refrigerator. Has all your personal health information in it and emergency contacts. Comes with a sticker that you can place on your door. First responders, if they're coming to your residence, if for any reason you're unresponsive, you can't talk, they can see the File of Life sticker on the door. They're trained to know that it's there. They're trained to know that that packet of information will be on the refrigerator, and they can then go to the refrigerator and look to see what your issues may be and how best to help you. We do a program called Yellow Dot, which is much the same thing as File of Life for the house. Yellow Dot is the same program, but it's for your vehicle. Yellow Dot provides information packet that you can put in your glove box and a sticker that can be placed on the window of the car. So if you were in an accident, you were unresponsive, first responders would know that that packet of information with your emergency contacts and your medical information is located in the glove box of your car. We have an emergency wristband identification program. This is a vinyl wristband with a PIN number on it, a 4-digit PIN. If someone wants one of those, they fill out an information sheet. We put it on file with our dispatch center. We record that PIN number, and then let's say, for instance, you were walking downtown in Orange, you passed out, you couldn't speak for yourself, and you were wearing one of these wristbands. If I came upon you, I would look at that wristband. It says Orange County Sheriff's Office, and it has the PIN number. So if I'm calling the Sheriff's Office or the 911 center, and I say, hey, I have someone here with this PIN number, the dispatcher can look it up and know exactly who that person is and what their medical issues are. So they can relay that to first responders in an effort to get you better service. We are also capable of doing home security surveys. I am what's called crime prevention through environmental design trained. It's CPTED for short. So that's one of the things I put into the TRIAD program. I can come to your house. I can do a hard target assessment. We can look at the weak and strong areas. We can look at how to beef up your security, how to make your home safer. We can look at windows, lighting, locks, doors, throw rugs, electrical outlets, and lighting. We can do a lot of things. We can make recommendations on how to make your house a safer place to live. And I have to mention our volunteers. We have started an extremely strong volunteer program. We have about 14 citizens in the county that have stepped up to assist me with TRIAD. The volunteers have all been, well, pretty much all of them have been trained. I've got a few that I've got to get up to speed, but most all of them have been trained in CPR. They've been trained in AED operation, and they've also been trained in stop the bleed. One of the reasons why they went through this training was because they are out there actively serving our Guardian Alert Pendant and our Project Lifesaver clients. Project Lifesaver requires maintenance. We have to make sure that that equipment is serviceable and that the batteries and the transmitters that are on people are working properly. Every 30 days, the volunteers reach out to a Project Lifesaver client. They verify that the client's caregiver is checking the battery status by looking at a log sheet that we issue them. We actually check the battery status at that point, and we also use the receiver to check the signal to make sure that that the equipment is working the way that it's supposed to. Obviously, if this equipment is not functioning and this person goes lost, we've diminished our chances of being able to find them in a timely manner. So the volunteers are extremely important to the TRIAD program. I can't say enough about them because they give of their time freely and voluntarily, and they are extremely dedicated, and I'm very proud of them. We started the volunteer program in November of 2019, and it's going very, very, very strong. So they are committed to going out and servicing the Project Lifesaver clients. They change the batteries when the batteries need to be changed. They provide equipment to the clients when they need it, and they're doing this all on their own time. The medical training comes in handy because we never know when we're dealing with somebody out in the field what we might encounter. So I felt strongly about the fact that the volunteers needed to be trained in how to react to a medical emergency if one should occur in front of them. They also assist in fundraising. They are an intricate part of us putting these mini conferences together. They are out contacting people in the community and asking for donations. I have 2 or 3 that are actively working on grant applications right now to help fund our programs. They assist in the strategic exercises. Almost every volunteer that we had was part of the mock exercise at the airport in November, and that was huge. Without their support and their help, we couldn't have done that. They maintain and update our wristband notebook, the one I was telling you with the PIN number. And they were also instrumental in helping me create a Facebook and a YouTube page. So, and they also occasionally will go out into the community and check on seniors that are at risk. So if we get a request from a family that says, you know, we don't live in the area, we'd like to find a way for our loved one to be checked on. If there's any way that we can work that out, we do. We try to get out and check on them to make sure that they're okay. Our Facebook page is dedicated strictly to TRIAD, and you can reach that by going to TRIAD. It's TRIAD, and it's all caps with a hyphen, and then Orange County, VA, and all separate words. And then we also have a YouTube page where we have started to do videos detailing our programs. One of the videos is an explanation of what TRIAD is. One of the videos currently on there now is an overview of the Project Lifesaver program, and also one of the Guardian Alert Pendant program. In the future, we're hoping that what we can do is that we can put actual demonstrations of our programs, projects, and equipment on there. I think we also have one on there about File of Life and what it does. So the YouTube, in order to get to the YouTube page, and I think there's a link from the Facebook page to the YouTube page, but that is, again, TRIAD with the hyphen, and then Orange County, comma, VA. So that's kind of where we're at with our TRIAD program. I think it's exciting. I'm loving working with the volunteers and with the people in the community. And, you know, I apologize this morning for maybe the quality of the presentation, because normally what I would do if I was coming to see you in person, I would have brought some of the Project Lifesaver equipment. I would have brought the Guardian Pendant and demonstrated that to you so you can see how it works. I would have shown you how we can track people with the Project Lifesaver equipment, and I would have had a nice PowerPoint presentation to go along with that. So this whole Zoom meeting concept is a little foreign to me, so I'm a little off my game with it, so I apologize for that. But you guys have been great listening to me this morning, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I see clapping.
Ron, thanks so very much for being here. I'd like to interrupt just briefly and ask Crystal to unmute herself and come online. Crystal has a small presentation to make to Ron this morning. Crystal, are you still with us?
Good morning. Yes, thank you, Cal. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you, Ron, for the wonderful presentation this morning. And I would personally like to thank you as well for all the excellent work you do and for the partnership we have with you with social services and with TRIAD. I know that the work that you all do complements the work that we do and helps us tremendously. So I know it's a wonderful partnership, and I just want to thank you and your volunteers for that. But yes, but I also would like to let you know that the Rotary Club of Orange would like to make a $500 contribution to TRIAD. That would be our quarterly distribution that we like to do and present to local organizations like TRIAD. And so we would like to present you with a $500 contribution, and you'll be receiving that soon. And again, just thank you for all the good work that you and your program is doing. And at some point, if we could get together, Cal informed me that they would like to have a little picture of us, of me presenting this to you. So at some point, maybe you and I can coordinate our schedules to get together for photo op.
That'd be fantastic, and I am honored to accept the donation. I don't know that I can't even begin to express to you how much it means to have that support, and how much it means to be able to put those funds to work for the community. It's really huge, and we really appreciate it.
Well, we certainly appreciate all that you do.
Well, you guys have been great to us, and any time or anything that you or the group may need, I hope you can reach out to me. If any of you are experiencing any issues or problems or have any questions or concerns about anything in the law enforcement world or the senior world, please feel free to contact me, and I'm available pretty much all the time. I carry my work phone with me all the time. If you don't get me, all you got to do is leave a message, and I'll call you right back as soon as I can.
Crystal, thanks so much. And Ron, again, thank you. I'll open the meeting back up for questions. I do have a personal thing to interject. I heard very early on that Ron had to get in touch, I guess it was with Crystal's group, to see if he could find some portable window air conditioners. I wanted to just say we have, I think, about 5 or 7 almost brand new window air conditioners that we'd like to give to some body or some organization. Most of you know that I live on a farm, and we're redoing now the original big house, which is 120 years old. And it had portable units put in it just last year, really just because of the COVID, because my kids came out from Richmond to hunker down during the virus, and they had to put window units in it to keep the house comfortable in the summer. So I think it's either 5 or 7 with a year or 2-year-old window unit. So I know I'm projecting something in there, but if anybody that's listening knows of a good place I can put this, they're free, they're good, we'll have them nice and clean and spick and span. So let me know if you have any interest in that. Thanks, guys. I'm sorry for interrupting the program, but Ron, I give it back to you, and maybe you'd have a few more minutes for questions and answers. Questions anyhow.
Sure.
Thanks.
Hey, Ron, James.
Yes, sir.
The best place to go to see a summary of services offered for TRIAD?
Probably going to be on our Facebook page. And you can also, there's a link if you go to the Orange County government website, and then you have to dig for it, but you have to go to the sheriff's office, and then within the sheriff's office embedded there is a link to TRIAD as well. It's not quite as thorough, I think, as our Facebook page, but I think the Facebook page is going to be the best place. And we have on the Facebook page, I have pictures of our equipment, have a description of it. I have a list of our programs, and I also routinely post anytime that we have scams that I become aware of that are affecting the community. I try to post the details of those on the Facebook page. I wish we had more followers. I think we only have like 80 right now. I'd like to have like 2,000, but I'm hoping as the word gets out and we get the information on our Facebook page out there, more people will join and see the benefit in it.
And one other question about the need for additional volunteers, or where are you at with your volunteer status?
We will always entertain volunteers that want to join us, because as some people, get into it and get older and decide that they can't do it anymore, we'd like to be able to have, new blood come in. So I'd love to have people that are interested in the program continue to come to our meetings and apply to be a volunteer. We do a very limited background check just to make sure that, we're not, we don't have convicted felons volunteering for us. And we issue them ID cards so that they are identifiable to the public whenever they're doing a TRIAD mission. And I've just been so impressed with our volunteers. The quality of the people that have stepped forward to do this is amazing. And I can't say enough about them. Without them, this program would not be nearly as successful as it has become.
Okay, well, Ron, thank you very much. You've done your normal great job. I think what you're doing is exceptional for the county, and I know the club believes in that by virtue of the fact that we've agreed to send you the money. We'll arrange something with you and Crystal. Crystal, you weren't on when we were talking earlier, but we know you both go by the airport, and maybe one morning or sometime during a convenient day, you can swing by the airport and get together, and we'll meet you there and get the picture, and hopefully find the Rotary banner to put behind it. We'll work on that as the days go on. But Ron, again, thank you so much. You did a wonderful job as usual, and we very much appreciate it.
Thank you for all your support.
Just a few minutes of business. Sam Kessler has the next meeting. I haven't seen the subject yet, but I'm sure he's on top of it. And with that, I'm going to bid everybody good morning. Thanks everybody for coming. Tony, and I think it was it Karen from Sitka? Did I get that right? Thanks for joining us today. It's always nice to have guests. And Ron, please contact us anytime you want and say goodbye to his dog, please. And now it's dog to dog because Ellen has good dogs, so they can speak back and forth with each other.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, thanks, Ron. And with that, guys, I'm going to excuse myself. And Barry, if you're still listening, I'd love for you to give me a call sometime this morning when you get a chance, if you have a minute.
Okay, Cal.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
Hi, guys. Yeah, our dogs went outside to chase a rabbit, I guess.